The Israeli Defense Force, the IDF, is undoubtedly one of the most, if not the most moral army in the world. That statement has been made famous by Colonel Richard Kemp, but by many others. I was reading a fascinating investigation, research after the Operation Protective Edge 3 years ago, the incursion into Gaza, and a group of military experts from over 10 Western countries reached the conclusion that Israel took unprecedented steps to avoid unnecessary human life far beyond the call of any international standard. And the truth is, if one looks at the IDF's Tohara Neshek, Code of Conduct, of Military Conduct, Purity of Arms, which was first developed after the 1936 Arab Revolt, honed in 1948 and continues to be developed and honed every year, one sees an incredible document, paradoxically, about the value of human life. After all, it's a code for soldiers who are there to defend their country, to defend themselves, to kill others if necessary who come to kill them first. And even though so much of war, of course, is about death, this document is about the sanctity of human life. Rav Goren, the chief rabbi of Israel, previous chief rabbi and rabbi of the chief chaplain of the Israeli army in 1967, writes in numerous places about the religious halachic roots of the Purity of Arms document. Recently, there was the very controversial and difficult case which highlights this point of Elor Azaria, the soldier who we know in Hebron, who came. He was actually an excellent soldier, a medic, and there was a Palestinian terrorist who had attempted to kill soldiers, was lying seemingly defenseless on the floor, and he killed him after he already seemed to have been detained and under control. He just received a year and a half in prison recently, in recent weeks, very controversial in Israel. But again, without getting into the details of the case, because it's enormously controversial and complex, the purity of arms. If here is a person seemingly not proposing any danger, a captive, so to speak, one treats them the way one needs to treat them according to the highest levels of halachic and human values. What is incredible about our Torah and about Israel is about, indeed, the purity of arms is based on this week's Parasha, Parashat Shoftim, which has the largest collection of laws governing warfare in all of Torah literature. And it's interesting when one looks at this week's Parasha and the beginning of next week's Parasha Ki Tetzei, one sees a chronology. The Torah defines how a soldier is supposed to behave before he goes out to battle, during battle, and after battle. Before one goes out to battle, one sees that one has to appeal to the Rambam says, based on Ki tikrav el ir lehilachem aleh, before you go out to battle, he says any type of battle. The first is we seek a peaceful solution. We try to find diplomatic, peaceful solutions. A military solution is a last resort and never the first resort. But if there is to be battle has to be confronted. And then during the war, what one must do, incredibly, if one is besieging a city, we learn how one is, as it says in the IDF Code of Conduct, how we treat not only human beings, but inanimate objects, not to waste even property. We learn from the besieging of a city, the halacha bal tashchit, do not use fruit trees to build your bulwark, your wall around the besieged city if there are trees which don't bear fruit. Don't waste unnecessarily. And then in next week's Parasha Ki Tetzei, we see that even after the battle is over and it has been won, how does one treat captives, the captive woman particularly? They also have rights. They dare not be treated as objects. They may have been the enemy or part of the enemy, but they are treated as dignified human beings. Indeed, since 1977, a fascinating a law in Israel of the purity of arms. Since 1977, in any war that Israel faces, any battle where there may be civilian casualties, the IDF has to warn the civilians that they are about to be attacked, that they may flee. And amazingly, Rav Goren points out, this is based actually on a halacha brought in the Rambam, based on this week's Parasha, that you never circle a city, surround the city by all four sides. If you're going to attack, give an opportunity for the civilians to go, that there shouldn't be unnecessary bloodshedding, and that there should be an escape route. And therefore, before one attacks, one reminds always, since 1977, over 40 years, there is now this law to give civilians an opportunity to escape. Perhaps, I say in conclusion, one of the greatest blood libels of our generation, of this resurge of anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism, not only against the Jews and the state of Israel, but specifically the IDF, the civilian army of boys and girls who go to serve and to protect their country with the highest level of purity of arms, in so many circles are presented in exactly the opposite. Nothing could be further from the truth. And this purity of arms and everything the ethical and moral codes stand for is rooted in religious, halachic moral law, all rooted in this week's Parasha, Parashat Shoftim. Shabbat Shalom.